What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadski, back again here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video, and today we have the KIZUNA clash that has just begun. This video is only going to be focusing on the 10-star difficulty, so we're only going to focus on the easy stuff first. Remember, you need to go ahead and grind this up to acquire those super boss tokens to get the job done. There's going to be two separate teams against the strength variation, and then two separate teams against the dex variation. This first team that you're seeing here is the team that I showed off in my preparation video. The team does work, however you do need to get stall in order for the team to actually function, so it does make things a little wonky. While the team does work, I probably wouldn't really suggest it, considering it does take you quite a long time to get it done. Ultimately, what you could do as well is you could switch out like Sakazuki for something else that has like lower cooldown that can remove despair, potentially something that has like the potential ability of cooldown reduction to help you with the stall mechanic, so you don't have to stall as much, because strength units don't actually receive the cooldown for this fight. However, when we move on to the secondary team in this video against the strength variation, I would highly advise, if you are going to build a team against it, you know, obviously focusing on using Khalifa as a friend captain, then to use the second team. This team does work, but if you don't have units from the other team, then yeah, we can go ahead and use this team. It does work, just requires a little bit of stall, which can be funky and stuff. But of course, you know, you should be using Khalifa as your friend captain. When you go ahead and try and find friend captains, you can sort by boosted effects to put the Khalifas on the top of the list there. Highly would advise to do that. It's going to make your life a whole lot easier for getting through this event. A little bit easier than what it would be. So we'll go ahead and just move on to the next team now. So enjoy the rest of this clip versus the Strength Soba Mask, and then we'll pick things up at the next team. Moving on to our second team variation against the strength fight against Soba Mask. So this team is going to be utilizing the Psy Gear 5 Luffy, and I completely overlooked the fact that Psy Gear 5 Luffy would be a really good option in this quest. He's a Psy unit, so he receives cooldown. He's also a fighter unit, so he also receives cooldown on the other fight, which we'll talk about a little bit later on in this video. But with this team composition, we've got Usopp and Yasop for the conditional boost, we've got Sanji and Judge, as well as the Robin. Sanji, Judge provide an attack boost and an orb boost via their switch effect and then their special ability. So that allows you to go ahead and then use the Khalifa special later on, which allows you to get the tap timing attack boost, which is quite good. And we do have the Robin, which provides really good utility. You do see that I use the switch effect here of Judge and Sanji. That is really not required for the team. With slots that you get, you can pretty much get through it without too many issues. So definitely would not advise to use the switch effect there. But, you know, I was just testing the team out for the first time, decided to do that. But realistically, you would switch on the final stage and then use the special ability of Judge, which would allow you to get the attack boost and the orb boost. So then when you activate Khalifa, you can actually receive the tap timing attack boost as well. You could also use the Luffy special first to get his orb boost if you wanted instead. You've also got Usopp and Yasop, as we mentioned before, for their switch effect to generate resistance down on the enemy and the conditional boost and the base attack boost. Esper, the only reason why Esper is on the team is because he's a quick unit, he's a 5D unit, so he receives the buff from both of the captains and stuff. And he's literally just here because he's like got double stats in this event, so you could replace Esper with literally whatever you want. And also, you don't really need to fulfill the EX super condition of Luffy. We're not even using his EX super here because we are relying on Luffy's revive mechanic to survive the massive death hit that Soba Mask inflicts on us. Ultimately, you could just put another character on the team to trigger Khalifa's super class that will also allow you to tank that death hit. Either way will work. Moving on now to the Dex variation of Soba Mask, the KIZUNA fight. This is the team that we talked about in my team preparation video. The team actually works pretty well. Definitely no issues at all. This team will actually output quite a lot of damage. So the thing about this fight is that there is like a really big chain annoyance that really gets input onto this fight. So by utilizing effects like the Bonnie, which allows us to get a chain lock on stage 2, meaning we don't really have to worry about too much on that particular turn at all. And then we've also got Kuzan, who can also give us a chain boundary on stage 3, which is going to be pretty important. One thing to note is that there is the enemy's damage limiter effect, meaning that you can only do 99% of the enemy's HP, which is actually very, very frustrating. So you actually have to kill over 2 turns. However, on the second turn, you know, they're not really going to have that much HP at all. They've only got 1%. However, one of the really cool interactions with this team is because we are using Sakazuki and his abilities, Sakazuki inflicts the Ignite mechanic on the opponent, and because of that Ignite effect, after the turn passes, the Ignite will trigger after the enemy's actions, which will actually instantly kill them through their damage limiting effect. So if you want to get through the fights a little faster, Sakazuki works quite good. But as I did mention, you know, the enemy is only going to have 1% of their health, and if you run very similar type of units, you're going to have buffs that will last for multiple turns, so I don't think it's going to be a massive issue, all things considered. It's kind of just a weird gimmick to just make the fight last a little longer than it really should. Yeah, I do think that this is going to be pretty easy, all things considered. The Dex variation is definitely much easier to get through, in my personal opinion. And then we're here at the final team versus the Dex variation. We're using the Side Gear 5 Luffy. Really cool interaction on stage 2, by the way. Because of the way that Luffy and the support of Rayleigh works, we're inflicted with bind, we're inflicted with the paralysis slot. So when you are inflicted with that bind, even though Side Gear 5 Luffy does remove the bind as the captain, the support will still trigger, which removes bind, despair, and paralysis by 2 turns. Ultimately, removing that paralysis will change the paralysis slots that were inflicted into matching. So really cool interaction there. We're using the same kind of setup with Sanji and Judge because they can remove that chain debuff once we use their special ability. But by using their switch effect and then their special, we can get attack and all boost for fighters and powerhouse, which we're, you know, kind of focusing on those types of units, just making sure Khalifa does as much damage as possible. Khalifa as well, with her abilities, because we have an attack and an all boost, we'll get the tap timing attack boost, and then she also provides good utility, removing a bunch of different debuffs. And then we've got the Usopp and Yasop for a conditional boost. The Law and the Sabo really don't really need them. They're just kind of here. I just was trying to run some strength units that kind of worked with the rest of the team, but realistically speaking, Law and Sabo are not really required at all. Heck, even the Usopp and Yasop not really required either. They're just here for a conditional boost and the resistance down. Really cool stuff. But again, not really required. The only real required characters is going to be Gear 5 Luffy, Friend Captain Khalifa, and Sanji Judge. That's basically how the team rolls. So honestly, really easy. Works very, very well in this fight. So that is going to wrap it up for me for the 10-star difficulty. It's getting late here, so I'll bring you guys a video dedicated to the Super Boss KIZUNA Clash tomorrow once we've gone ahead and got everything sorted. So hopefully you enjoyed this video today. If you did, make sure to go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. On that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.
Excellent!